Hello, welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda. It's Tuesday. I'm back with another tag. Actually, I shouldn't say I'm back because I just filmed one. It's like the third tag in a row I'm filming, but I need to get caught up. So I don't know when any of these are airing, but there you go. I'm doing the Snob-o-Meter Tag. I like this one because I've thought about it and I'm a little conflicted on it. I was tagged by, was I tagged? I saved it. I don't know. Someone tagged me on it. I have saved Suey's and she didn't actually tag me, but that's okay. That's okay. So you don't have to tag me. I apologize to whoever did tag me. This just happens to be the one I've saved, but this one was created by that reading guy. So we'll get started on it. The Snob-o-Meter Tag. What is your definition of book snobbery? So I've thought about this because I think there's two forms of it. And I'm okay with one of them. One of them that I'm not okay with is looking down on someone for their choice of reading material. I don't think that's okay. Don't do that. The other one, which I'm kind of okay with, is looking down on a book for what you perceive of its quality. So, yeah, I don't. You just have to be careful with it, so that snobbery towards the book is not transferred to the reader. I think it's perfectly acceptable to criticize a book for not being the quality you think it should be, for having problems, for whatever. I think that's okay. It's a little, there is an author who I'm not going to mention because again, I don't want this to transfer to the readers, but there is an author I won't read. I have picked up her books. I've read a couple pages, not my writing style. Like, nope, not going to do it. But also, okay, I'm not going to say who it is, but you can figure it out. I know from listening to other people, she's totally into trauma porn. And I'm not in for that either. So I can be a little book snobbish about those particular books, but not about the readers, because people come to books for all sorts of things, but I will get on the book itself. So, okay. Question 2, is there a genre or type of book you would never consider reading? Such as, would you ever read a romance, or would you regularly read romance? Would you ever try a science fiction, blah, blah, blah. I have thought hard about this, and I do have a question. I do have an answer for this. It's not a genre, it's a subgenre, and that is really dark romance. Just because I know what's in there, and I know that would really bother me, and so why go there? If I know I'm going to be bothered by it, that's not the point of the book, to be bothered by what's in there, and I'm just not going to read it. It's not for me. Know thyself. I know thyself. I know that's not going to happen. So there you go. I'm not going to read the really dark romance. And I'm definitely not going to read that one that the author got arrested for because that's just gross. Okay. 3, does erotica count as literature? Okay, so first of all, this is a pet peeve of mine. What is literature? What is the thing that what is literature? If you define literature as a certain level of book, then that's subjective. I can't argue either way about it. But if you consider literature the written word, like I was on a Southwest flight, and I will just put the picture right there. And if they can consider their drink menu literature, then what? Of course, erotica can be literature. Now, I will say, I haven't read a lot, but I've read some. Once by accident, that was a really funny story. But reading quality counts. There's better written than, whatever. With anything, there's better written versions than others. So I'm going to say yes, it can. Not saying, as with anything, I don't say it definitely does, because there's some really crappily written stuff in pretty much every genre. But yes, it could. So, 4, is it better to read classic books than popular bestsellers? It is better to read both of them. And I don't want to say, no, of course it's not better to read one or the other. No, I think you should be reading both. I will come out and say that. The popular books of today may be the classics of tomorrow. They might not. They might. You don't know. But literature, and I do mean this in the written word, builds on itself. So, you can't have today's book without yesterday's book. Something comes from that. So I think really you should be reading both. There you go. Have you ever bragged about reading a classic in order to sound smart? No, I don't think so. I mean, I have like done it to say, you know, like I've read a book maybe to say, oh, I'm going to say that, and I can say I'm smart. And then I've like not gotten the book and felt stupid. So that didn't work. I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so. Number 6. Do audiobooks count as reading? What about comic books or graphic novels? Okay, so I have seen, watching these tags, I've seen a whole variety of answers. And it all comes down to, what do you consider reading? Okay? So I can only answer this for myself. And I consider reading consuming the written word. So yes, audiobooks count as reading because you're consuming the written word by having someone read it to you. Also, comic books and graphic novels. Yes, that's reading. Reading a book just to read it to yourself and have it a very solitary experience is actually a relatively new phenomenon. Reading used to be a very audio and a group activity. One person would read to a group of people. That's how novels especially have been for a very, very long time. Audiobooks are basically the same thing. So yes, I consider reading to be consuming the written word. So yes, audiobooks are reading. Now, some people don't do well with audiobooks. That's perfectly fine. I do listen to audiobooks, but I do tend to prefer to read with my eyes, and that's fine. My son prefers audiobooks, whatever, still reading, okay? And I don't want to get into a fight about it. Like, look, I don't, it's just my view. Have you ever looked down at someone for reading a popular fluff book? A book with little substance to it, for example, or a self-help book or celebrity memoir? I'm sure I have, and I mean, yes, I have. I will say, as I've gotten older, like if I catch myself doing it, I talk myself out of it because that's not cool to do. I do recognize that is not a cool thing to do. But I know I have done it. I have, and I feel bad about it, but I have, you know, whatever. There you go. 8. Have you ever been the recipient of someone else's snobbery? Yes, I have. And let me tell you. So this was way back when my daughter was a baby. I don't even think my son was yet. And I was in a mom's group. And I had been talking about books with someone. And we had been talking about reading Wolf Hall. So we're both reading Wolf Hall, or had read Wolf Hall. So we're at least at that level. And I had just mentioned, not like saying you should read this book, but just mentioned, oh, I think my next book is going to be, I don't remember which book it was, but it was by Jennifer Weiner. And she looked at me, she's like, I don't read those sorts of books. I'm like, F you. I'm sorry. I don't care if you read them or not. I didn't say you should. I said I was going to. And your life must be really dull if all you're reading is Wolf Hall-ish books. That's all you read. I don't care what you read. And you shouldn't care what I read, and you certainly shouldn't judge me for it. And this was at a time, so Jennifer Weiner is an interesting author in that this term has kind of come out of favor recently, but at the time it still was chick lit. She embraced that title of chick lit. Although if you look at other books that are labeled as chick lit, hers are definitely up. But I was like, I don't care. I don't care what you think of what I'm reading. All I did was mention this is the next book I'm going to read. Whatever. And we're not friends anymore. Doesn't matter. We're not friends. And yeah, not friends. Okay. Question 9, would you ever be friends with a snob? Or maybe you already are. Well, I'm not friends with that snob. Because of that. So bookish best friend and I can be a little snobby within each other, but we try not to. We're trying to be better. I have my little outlet if I need to, and that's okay. So I guess, but especially if I see you be snobby towards someone like that person did to me, or if you do it to me, we're not friends. No. Because I think that's indicative of other things about your personality, to be honest. I just do. I think it's a symptom of something else. So there you are. Are people who don't read less sophisticated than people who do? No, because there's probably things that they do that I don't. There you go. They might play the flute. I don't play the flute. I tried when I was a kid and I couldn't do it. I didn't have the right mouth shape. But no. However, I would give anything for my husband to be a reader, not because I want to have book discussions with him or anything like that, but so that he'll leave me alone when I'm reading. Or that. No. And lots of times people, they don't read because they don't have time, or they don't read because they read so much in their working life that reading is not a relaxation for them. I get that. No. There's nothing to do with that. Measure yourself. Based on your answers to the previous questions, would you qualify as a book snob? I think I would qualify as a little bit of a book snob. And I think that I'm kind of like trying to be in recovery about it. At least I recognize when I'm being book snobbish. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with criticizing a book. It's criticizing a reader that's not cool. But so I guess a little bit, but I'm trying to be better. So the next question is tag some people. And everyone's already done this tag. So I'm not tagging people. I'm just going to shout some people out because I want you to go visit their channels because they're cool. And I have my little jar. This jar's not been updated in a while, so some of like the newer channels to me aren't in here. I need to go through and fix those. So I'm just going to pull 3 and go visit those channels. And they aren't going to be the ones I did from the last video. So, whoops, it just fell off here. Okay, so here we go. Nicole at Noteworthy Fiction. Go check her out. Sandy at Ms. Reads a Lot. Go check her out. Jolene at Bookworm Adventure Girl. Go check her out. Again, those aren't tags. Those are shout outs. But if you haven't done this tag and you want to, please do. I would love to see it. Anyway, that's it for this week's tag. I'm getting caught up slowly. So like, subscribe, join my Discord. I'll see you next video. Bye-bye.